I'm Ellen Horan, President and CEO of the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm here today to bring you a member spotlight on Emmett Lien, who is President of Edge Insights. So welcome, Emmett.
Hi, thank you.
And also thank you for serving on the Chamber's Board of Directors.
Pleasure, I enjoy it.
Very good. So tell me about your background, first of all. What brought you to Reading, Pennsylvania, and, what were your educational backgrounds and your earlier jobs that kind of put you on this path?
Yeah, sure. Actually, born and raised in Reading, Pennsylvania, graduated from Reading High a long time ago, back in 1977. I kicked around a little bit and just here and there went to some college classes. I thought I was going to play baseball at one point in time. It didn't work out that way. But I started off in the computer field. I was a computer operator and at one point studying to be a computer programmer. I bumped into a guy that I was working with who was a sales manager, and I thought, boy, I'd like to try that. And I asked him if I could have a shot at it, and he gave it to me. And that kind of started a career that really stayed involved with sales for the next long period of time.
Okay.
Late 1988, 89, I went to work for Entree Computer Center with my current business partner, Dennis Hefter.
Mm-hmm. I remember them.
Yeah. It was an interesting time because the PC was just starting to take off and the networks were taking off. And we grew that business pretty substantially over the course of the next 5 years until that business was ultimately acquired by General Electric. So in the late 90s, I worked for GE, and around 2000, GE started to phase out of that business, kind of interestingly, because it was really a booming time.
Right.
So
you sold them the business and then worked for them?
Yeah, it wasn't my business. Entree wasn't my business,
Okay.
but they sold the business. I worked for GE.
Got it.
And then in 2000, when I moved on from GE, I had the itch, and a buddy of mine and I got together and started a company called WorldNet Technology Consultants.
I remember them.
And we were doing a little bit of a roll-up. We bought 5 other companies. Pretty progressive time from a networking perspective. And then in 2005, we sold that business, and I ended up working for Utilitech for the same guy, Steve Bobick, who had given me my first sales job back 30 years earlier.
The ultimate sales guy.
Yeah, Steve was a good sales guy. Yeah, absolutely,
Excellent.
still is.
Good. Okay, so you purchased Utilitech then after you went to work for Steve Bobick, and he was looking to retire, and you were looking to buy or not looking to buy?
Well, I kind of approached Steve before I went to work for him and just asked him if, kind of casually, if he was getting the itch. And it started a dialogue, and I came to work for him in, as I said, 2008, I think, is when I started.
Okay.
And we had a dialogue that went on for about 2 years until we ultimately did the deal that we did back in 2010.
Okay. Very good. So you changed the name from Utilitech to Edge Insights. What was your thinking with that?
Well, one of the main reasons was we evolved the business. The business was originally an audit business, going back and looking at utility bills, natural gas, electricity, telecommunications, looking for errors or overbillings. And my vision was to go beyond that and to get into a more proactive approach. I had been a customer of Utilitech. They did a great job. They saved me 35%. And I remember thinking, I wish I had engaged them in the first place rather than spend too much money. So we decided that we were going to evolve the business, become more proactive, and get involved in other areas such as waste services and transportation services. So kind of just diversified and got beyond just utilities. And we just decided that maybe it was time to rebrand. And that's why we changed to Edge Insights back in the beginning of this year, actually.
Okay. Yeah. And that's worked pretty well then?
It has. Yeah.
How diversified are you then?
Well, as I said, we still do the basic audits of electricity, natural gas, and telecommunications. But those areas we also now provision services so we can help our customers get ahead of the curve rather than just look back and get savings or refunds. But we've also added waste services. We just completed a large bank's waste audit. They were spending $300,000 a year. When we were done with our work, they're down to $140,000 a year.
Okay.
So we've added that. We've added transportation and sales and use tax. So we really are looking at becoming overall an operational cost consulting firm.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, is most of your customer base local, or how extensive is your market?
Yeah, it's probably the old 80-20 rule. Probably 80% of our business is local. The other 20% is spread throughout the country. We have the ability to do what we do across the country. And in fact, we're preferred providers for a couple of buying groups that are national. So, it's growing outside of this area, but still 80% of what we do is probably a 100-mile radius from here.
Okay. Now, as you've had to grow, it doesn't sound like you necessarily would have a lot more capital needs, that would be an issue, but I would think talent needs. Is that something that you've had to expand your staffing, and are you able to find the talent that you need?
Yeah, the capital requirements aren't as great. I was used to the IT business where if you made a $5 million sale, $4 million of that might have been product.
Right.
So we don't have that constraint. But with what we've been able to do with our staff and technology, we really, even though we've basically doubled our size in the last 5 years, we're only up 3 people. And it's because we've really put a lot of investment into technology and made the business scalable. And, we're very fortunate. Our team has been with us probably for an average tenure of 8 to 10 years per person.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Now, tell me about your management style. You have a staff of all professionals. That's something that I think with your business head, you might approach your business in one way, but in staff development another way. What are some of what would you say your management style is? We often hear from at the staff level is, was your boss in sales or manufacturing? Which would mean a different way they would approach you. So
Right. Well, I'm a sales guy, so I leave a trail of broken glass behind me sometimes. I believe that you surround yourself with good people, and in our case, fortunately, when we bought the business, we inherited a great staff. We've added a couple people, but I think my job is to kind of point them in the right direction in general terms. Certainly be involved in the sales and marketing aspect of the business, but my role is to support the team. I've got, as you said, professionals literally in every area of the business, some of which I've worked with for 20 years. I know them, I trust them, and my role, as I said, is to support them and make sure I remove obstacles and let them do what they do very, very well.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, with the name Edge Insights, what gives you your edge as a company?
Well, I think the fact that we take a very consultative role. The culture of our business is to work with our customers as though the money we're saving them is our money. We're trying to do things for them as we would for ourselves. I think that's number one. Number two is the technology. We've invested quite a bit in technology. So, for example, in the energy side of the business, there's a ton of brokers out there that help customers get a deal in January of this year that runs for 2 years, and then 2 years later review that deal. We've invested in something called Price Watch that we monitor the markets and their contracts daily so that we can look for the optimal time to renew. And I think one of the examples I would give you, Berks County, who's a client of ours, we were able to renew them 15 months before their current contract expired, when most people wouldn't even been looking at it yet. And we saved the county some $600,000 a year. So that really is an edge because we're not waiting until we have no option. We're looking for optimal times.
Right. And that makes sense. Energy costs can be so volatile, electricity, gas, and few companies have that internal expertise.
That's right.
So I can appreciate that they would want someone else looking out for that for them. So you're enabling them to sleep at night by taking that burden off them. What keeps you awake at night?
As is always the case when you have a business, making sure you're doing as much as you can for your clients, making sure you're providing the opportunity for your team to grow. But for the most part, we've got a real solid group of people, so it's not as volatile. Even though the markets are volatile, the business is not as volatile as, say, the IT business was. So, to tell you the truth, I sleep pretty well.
A lot better these days. Good.
I sleep pretty well.
And Emmett, in closing, do you have any advice for someone that may be aspiring to start a business or buy a business?
Well, again, I'd go back to the thing that I had said before. If you can surround yourself with good people, if you can buy a business, the nice thing about Utilitech, it had been around for 20 years, had a great reputation, great people on board, and a good core business. So if you can do that and then kind of step back and lead, but also enable your people to do well. That's been the secret for us over the course of time.
Very good. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'm happy to have shared this member spotlight, Emmett Lien, Edge Insights. Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.